Rillaboom, Joe. Rillaboom. Now, I don't think it's confirmed yet if that Zarude is going to be in this new set or not. But let's say if it, even if it is, do you feel as if the Rillaboom? Because I think someone was saying that it did well in Japan recently, like the sort of old egg-esque version. I haven't given Rillaboom much thought or play at all, Joe. Do you feel as if that could any avenue for success?
I'm trying to think of what it would gain from this set, but it doesn't lose a lot. It loses like net ball, and I think that's about it. But I'm trying to think what it would actually benefit from in this set. I don't think there's much that it benefits from, so I can't see it being too different of a position.
Yeah.
And Centiskorch is coming out, so,
yes.
So it's a little bit of a worry. I don't think it's going to perform like wildly differently to what we've seen, unless the meta is massively shaken up.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I look at Rillaboom, and I just think, right, so we've got stuff like, what's he called? Salamence or Centiskorch, right? Again, I sort of alluded to this earlier. We've got all these VMAXs that you can put full energy on and do this sort of 200 to like 260 to 70 range. And I guess Rillaboom falls in that category as well, VMAX, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, well, this one requires a stage 2 to get set up. And you have to like try one from hand as well. I just think, just play, like, why would I play this over Centiskorch? Why would I play this over Salamence? And I can't think of many reasons, in all honesty. So...
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess the Zarude can heal it off, and you've got 330, but then Zarude gives up 2 prizes. You don't really want to be messing about with that.
Yeah, I haven't thought too much about Zarude. I'm expecting it to not be in the set, but if it is, that might be something to look into.
Yeah, but on face value, I've never really been a loading egg fan either, to be honest. I like my cards to do actual damage, and 3 for 150 ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Boomer, that was it, Jack, yeah. Oh, Jack is saying Boomer is busted, apparently.
Okay. Actually, he was playing it on stream today for some fun, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay, fair enough. I'll let you off then. This is what chat's been saying. Inteleon VMAX Rose or just the trainer support Inteleon? Oh, we'll start with the Inteleon VMAX. I know you mentioned that a little bit earlier, Joe. You were theory modding it a little bit with the Rose. What made you come down that VMAX? Because to be fair, that's one I've completely almost forgot about. What sort of made you revisit Inteleon VMAX in your head?
So, for Rebel Clash, my exact line of thinking for why I thought Inteleon was bad was because it was worse than Draga. Because it was functioning very similarly in terms of its raw damage output and that it's targeting the bench at times. But Dragapult was just more efficient and didn't really have any easy counters. Now it's like, well, Lightning's getting a lot more obscure and Dark is becoming super relevant. So let's try and push our stock towards the Inteleon side instead, now that we have the new acceleration of Rose to really make it work a lot better than previously. Because the Frosmoth was a thing, but the Snoms only have 50 hit points. They get wrecked by Dragapult in the first place, and it was slow at times, and you had to play all this other stuff. But I think it's fairly quick for you to play like Capacious Buckets, get Water in the Bin, Rose, and Silvally just as an engine anyway seems like a decent option. So I think Inteleon, like in a vacuum, gets potentially a better engine than playing Frosmoth, and then it potentially is in a better placement at the same time. So kind of depends on how much Mew has played, because obviously Salamence is coming out. But that 160 and 60, it's not bad numbers. You can also play Zigzag Scoop Up Net. You know, I'm kind of just saying things like a harebrained scheme right now, but I need to give it some time. Water may even be in a more interesting spot with Centiskorch being a 3-prize fire Pokemon. So I think Inteleon's worth re-exploring. I kind of hated on the card in Rebel Clash. But I think it's probably better than Dreadnought and probably better than Lapras as a Rose option. So I think that's the most exciting Water guy. Yeah,
and then like we said, if you don't lean into that Rose, like I said with the Guardian, there's no guarantee you're getting that in that order, right? But at least with Inteleon, if you're not getting the whole Rose combo, Hydro Snipe is good enough where you can potentially buy yourself a couple turns with the Hydro Snipe, and that's nothing to be overlooked. Like we was alluding to earlier. Energy Denial is going to be good, and you've got that, and you do a little bit of chip as well. So Yeah, interesting Inteleon. I never really gave him a Inteleon much thought. He's one of my favourite greens decks back in there. I tried to play it like Malamar VMAX, and I liked it. I just
Counter gain and stuff.
Yeah, I just like greens as a card. Like, well, I ain't gonna dead draw. I'm gonna get exactly what I want, and then mine cut, and you're like, oh, okay, cheers, mate. Like, unfortunately. Now, you mentioned baby clowns way back at the start of the stream, and my heart sank. Can it potentially survive, Joe?
I think so.
Oh.
It's gross, but I think it's still able to hit 350, right?
I mean,
and it's still a one prizer last time I checked. And like we lose Fiery Flint, so its tempo is like way worse.
Okay.
But you still have half, and you still have Crystal, and Jirachi, high switch count, high scoop up net. Like the core is still alive. So I don't see why it wouldn't still be a thing. Maybe just like
well, right?
Say again.
Crystal hangs around as well, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, Fire Crystal's still in.
Yeah,
it's only Flint and like Heat Factory and Acrobike that go. So the core, is worse because Flint was crazy busted. But it's still like relatively intact. So yeah, I would be hesitant to say Blounds is dead because we've played it in even worse formats and it's still been like decent. So
yeah,
I would be surprised to say it's dead.
Yeah, it's one of them. Like Dimitri came around the other day, player at UK, in case anyone doesn't know. Good player as well, and he was like, oh, he hates baby clowns as much as me. He's like, oh, just wait to rotation, it's gonna be gone. And as much as I wanted to enthusiastically be like, yeah, it's gone, I'm thinking, I don't know, man. I like how I imagine it being. And you feel free to correct me if you think I'm going on a wrong way here. But sometimes you play against baby clowns now. If they haven't immediately got their KO, they'll just inflate the hand, pass, and you're thinking, right, they're just waiting. They're just waiting. And I imagine it's going to, like you said, because there's no Flint, they can't just be like, immediately, bang, there's your 300. But they'll just set it up over like 2 or 3 turns. They'll be fine. I'll just grab my hand a little bit, grab my hand lit, and they'll be like, bang. And now there's going to be so many more free prizes around. All I have to do is do that twice.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of these VMAXs pass into them as well, so there's not that same sort of pressure where Jirachis are getting bopped immediately to actually like scare them and make them draw good. So they've actually got that time to like relax, Stellar Wish a bunch, build. Yeah. So that's a small concern.
Oh, I hate that deck, man.
I don't think Blounds is dead by any means.
No.
But it does get more hurt by Swell, and it gets more hurt than Marnie, or like by Marnie.
Yeah.
So there's at least that. Like, it's actually way more fair than it used to be. Whereas previously, like, you get Marnied into a Crystal and a Flint, and you're like immediately dead. So.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Blacephaleon, I guess I have to be staring at your stupid face for another format. Great.
Yep.
That's fun.
It could go back to a stage 1 draw as well. Like, it could go back to Pidgeotto or Cincino, like we saw it pre-Rebel Clash.
This is
try and make up for the draw. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. Well, hopefully people don't play it. But I know that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna go down to my first cup after rotation, like happy as like big smile on my face, like I'm playing green, and guys, what? To be fair, green actually, no, probably doesn't have a good Blacephaleon. So I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. Like, sit down round 1. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. Like, and he goes, he flips over Blacephaleon. I'm like, oh, hang on. Yeah. I'm like, oh dear. That would be
Giant Hearth, Stellar Wish, Intrepid Sword, your go.
Long as well, yeah. I'm like, oh dear. Like if I'm playing Blacephaleon TCG now, I just walk away. Like, I'll just go over there, go check TV. Oh my lord, Jesus.
There's still Spinner as well. Like I know a lot of Blounds choose to go second anyway, so Spinner could still be like a pseudo Flint. It kind of like relies on you going second a lot more, but that could also be a card that they choose to play for energy burst into the hand.
Now, I actually had another deck in my head, but then the Blacephaleon thought has just pushed it out. What was kind of what it was? Like, I was just getting so upset with the thought of Blacephaleon that I forgot about it. Joe, would you think there's anything that we haven't touched on already? That's like a glaring omission to the format that I've. And chat, feel free to throw anything in.
Chunk.
Yeah, I'm looking at types now for everyone. Ain't no fairy, dragon, Metal, no. Psychic, Fire, Water. I can't think of it. I think it's jumping out of me. That could just be because I've been the one we've been here talking about it for about 90 minutes. Chat, anything you want us to discuss that we haven't discussed already? If not,
maybe
then...
just a quick mention on Mewtwo if we haven't already. Like, it does lose Turbo Strike, so I think
Mewtwo, yeah, okay, yeah.
Mewtwo probably has to look for new acceleration partners. Someone said in chat Porygon Z Spice.
Oh,
and that could be funny.
Because that would get the Auroras, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Or it could play its own like Volcanion package alongside Welder, but I do think Mewtwo needs to adapt a lot because it loses some of its tech attackers, but most importantly, it can't Turbo Strike anymore, which is like its biggest draw to the deck, in my opinion, for the Welder build anyway. The fact that you could end a turn with 5 or 6 energy in play,
yeah,
seems really good.
Yeah, Mewtwo. Yeah. No, I'm thinking. It's jumping out at me there. Oh, that was it. I just see it on the table. This was it. I think we'll call this the last one, unless anyone puts something good in chat that we've completely just missed. Houndoom V. Again, I feel as if because it's not so overpoweringly broken, and to be a fire type or welder deck, you have to be doing something bonkers to even be considered to be play, right? But I think Houndoom, I don't know if it's like super overpowering, but it's decent enough. I think it can hold its own. I think the build I've played the most of so far has been Houndoom with Volcarona. Whether or not that's the best way, I don't know. Joe, do you think, is it even good enough to be a build around? Is it like a card that can go into like a Welder Box S-type deck? 'Cause I guess Welder Box doesn't really go anywhere. You still keep Ninetales, I believe, right? You keep
yeah, it's just Victini Prism. Yeah, losing Victini Prism might be bad for Welder Box, but maybe it plays like Double as the alternative, I think.
Okay, so do you think as if a Welder Box-esque deck can still hang around, or?
Well, I flip-flopped on Houndoom like 3 times. I had like the initial reading and I was like, it's bad. Then I read it again and I was like, wait, isn't this just Drampa? And now I'm just like, no, it's still Welder and more shenanigans required. And it feels kind of yucky to me at this point. Like, I don't know how to say. Like, it could end up being okay, but it doesn't sound consistent enough to be like very good. And like at the end of the day, you're still a 2-prizer that can't tank, and you can't do impressive damage against Eternatus, so you're gonna have to struggle there. You're gonna have to play like Spike Muff, Jinx shenanigans, maybe, like who knows,
that's
to actually get things rolling. So it's gonna be like that little bit of extra work that's a small headache for Welder. But as you said, like Welder Box as we know it kind of is not happening anymore because you don't have the late game sweep of the Jirachi Prism, the Victini Prism.
Yeah.
You don't have Turtonator anymore. So Welder Box as we know it kind of isn't really possible. So maybe this is like the adaptation where Houndoom is just a 3-energy swinger for like the most part of the game, and then you have like maybe like Double or some other 2-prize or 1-prize guy to be extra damage later on. But I'm not like hugely enthusiastic by it because it's just, you know, like a red version of Zacian that doesn't have Intrepid Sword and has to jump through more hoops most of the time.
Like, I didn't even think like that. Yeah, it is, isn't it? I guess. And like I said, when you compare against Welder stuff, you'll be something bonkers. Like maybe a couple formats ago, this would have been the nuts, but like, like 3 for 200. Like, come on now. Like, there was one more thing, Soja. I remember now. I promised to be the last one. Unless anyone put something really good in chat. So we've got Tomb Count. I alluded to it earlier. We talked about how if Spiritomb is still a decent attacker, but obviously as its own archetype, I remember when Hooper came out, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's a bit like Zapdos. You can get like a bit of a Zapdos-esque type thing, and you've got Spiritomb in the back just slowly racking up damage to be like your little mid to late game sweeper. Now you lose Rainbow and you lose Hustle Belt. But you do gain Spike Muff in that regard, and you get Giant Cape as well in theory, so you can like you can hit Xenoms with Spiritomb. I've done it. It is nuts. But do you feel as if there's any hope for like a Spiritomb-esque 1-prizer? Because I know you love Zapdos. I know we've been trying to like build a new version of Zapdos. Is this it? Can it potentially have a place in the format, or is it just like, nah, mate?
I think it's one of the stronger 1-prize decks out there. I think Baby Blounds is probably still the best 1-prize deck. But Spiritomb Hooper seems like it'll be pretty consistent. You've already mentioned all the replacements that goes in. Like Hooper comes in for the Beast package, Spikemuth and the Cape come in for the Hustle Belt and the Rainbows. So we have modifiers. We'll still play like a Hijinks count probably. So it's all kind of there for Spiritomb. It's going to function, and it's a one prizer, so I don't see it being like terrible. Possibly still played with ADP even, where you still play Spikemuth and Thingy, so that you can take those Grinch prizes on Crobats and stuff if we're thinking about Eternatus matchups and a few other matchups here and there. So I think Spiritomb, we have to see how bad those replacements are. But I'm pretty like okay with just trying to build it, and it doesn't seem like it's gonna be a hard deck to build because it's just like a bunch of basics, a handful of energy cards, and you're ready to go really. So it's like not going to be that clunky, I don't think, as a one prize deck.
Yeah, when I was playing it, it did flow quite nicely. I think the best throw I've got it with on this channel was against a Salamence, I'd like to say, I think, and it held its own, to be fair. Obviously, Salamence had the 30 spread, and I was like, oh, hang on, that's actually quite good, that. But like, but it did hold its own. It held its own. It wasn't like a walkover by any means. And if you can go toe-to-toe with Salamence, which does have the inbuilt, you know, spread to sort of counter your Spiritomb, and it was still going toe-to-toe. It was still game to go either way. So I think there is merit there. It's one of them where it's like, again, I said alluded to it earlier, because it's like the biggest and shiniest cards come out of the new set. It's not like Center Score's doing like 350 or anything. It's not going to be too appealing, but I think there's potential there. One prizes in a matter of like 3 prizes. Like one prize get a little bit more value now, right? Oh my lord! Like I can take 3 turns like that geezer out, and we're still rocking. So
and at the end of the day, you'll still get to that late game where it's like Spiritomb's easily just gust bopping a 2 prizer. So even if you're like taking 3 Hoopers to get through a VMAX or something like that, you'll still late game be able to get your up trades in, I would imagine.
Yeah, most definitely. So that's one to also think about. But right.